Yeah.
Is this the first sex scene in a Richard Linklater film? Is that true?
No, but the best sex scenes, I think.
Hey, thanks, man. Not the first, but the best. That's how I like to be.
Okay, we have to talk about Hitman. This collaboration has actually kind of been 2 decades in the making. What is it like, Richard, to get here with Glen, remembering him as, you know, a young, scrappy teenager, and now being the co-writer, producer, and star of this film?
Well, it's been a really fun evolution. Obviously, this is the 4th time Glen and I have worked together. 2 of them are very small, kind of one-day parts, many years apart. But the 2 that we've really dug in on have been super creatively rewarding. And this was very different because Everybody Wants Some was a nice ensemble. This was really just him and Audria and, you know, the rest of our cast. But it was fun. And to start, you know, this whole thing started when I got a call from Glen asking if I'd read this article. I said, yeah, I read that article a long time ago, and I've thought about it a lot, but it just doesn't seem like a movie. And Glen's like, well, what if we, you know, it's a great character, great story. You know, we just started from there. It was during the pandemic. We had a lot of time to spend, and we just dug in. And at some point, it's like, you know, let's just write this together. You know, let's start.
It was a very interesting dance because also we wrote this entire thing over the pandemic.
Yeah.
So we were never in the same room. My family, you know, I spent some time with my family. It was either in Texas or Maine, and I'd be on these like family walks we'd go on. And there's pictures of me on these family walks. I don't know if I got to get my mom to send
you
these
were always
photos.
at a beach somewhere, at a ranch. I was always in the exact same.
Yeah, totally. I was living my best life in the pandemic.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I don't know how you did it, but you were having a fun pandemic.
Yeah, so I was with my family, and you know, there's pictures of like the family on the walk, and I'd be on the phone with Rick, like kind of like separate from the group behind, and we kind of would just make each other laugh and be watching a movie and be like, hey, like there was this, you know, watched Double Indemnity last night. What if we did this?
Yeah, because this thing allowed us to be really creative. Not only we were dealing with a nonfiction source because it's true story, true characters, true kind of true crime setup, but then the second part of the movie really required we just had to leave all that behind and go our own way with these genres. And that's when it got really fun and creative. We were just like, well, what if this, it's like, that's funny. You know, can we do that? Has that been done before? Not like that, you know, so, it was very creative.
I think also like the merger of our 2 brains, like we never painted ourselves into like a tonal box, like a genre or anything like that. Like I think what was really fun is that this thing never allows the audience to like sit in a tone, so the expectations are kind of everything, you know, when it comes to character and all that stuff. So I found that by the time we got to game day, where we're sitting down with a cast and really reading through it and kind of massaging it, it really became a merger of just best ideas in a room. You know what I mean? Like everybody was.
Then we were mashing up genres too. We were kind of a screwball comedy meets a film noir. You know, we were like, we want to take you on a ride. We want you on the edge of your seat by the end. It's really like, oh my God, the walls, you know, all that. We wanted it to work in the genre, you know, specifics of those genres, which I don't know. You don't see that a whole lot. Most, you know, we're kind of set up to be kind of a serious film. It's true crime. There's murder on the table, and yet we couldn't take it that serious because it's kind of based on a myth. So it was a great, you know, to make this kind of steamy romance, you know, because I think it's just kind of a hot couple movie, you know.
Well, since you mentioned a hot couple, is this the first sex scene in a Richard Linklater film? Is that true?
No, but the best sex scenes, I think.
Hey, thanks, man. Not the first, but the best. That's how I like to be. That's great.
Well, you did a sex scene in Everybody Wants It. You're one of the few guys who got a sex scene in that.
That's true.
Remember?
That's true. You're always throwing me sex scenes. I appreciate you, Rick.
I know.
Thanks, man. No, this one was a very interesting. The even how we crafted those, like it was a team effort. You know, Audrey really was the.
Yeah, she's the secret sauce. You know, she's the third. If it wasn't for what Star Wars or whatever the hell they wouldn't let her out. She would be here because she was really our partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, tell me about Gary/Ron and Madison and the importance of that kind of rom-com element to this movie as well.
Well, first off, she's awesome. She's just so smart, funny, she brought in, and we were just like, I don't know. She contributed so much to that character and the believability between them and the kind of the funny banter. I don't know.
We
it was
also
so fun working with you guys, you know.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a crazy hard worker, very talented. But also, I remember who we were looking at to play that role. We were writing it. We didn't really have anybody in mind when we were writing it. I don't know if you did, but like, I know that we knew that was sort of the linchpin of everything. If you didn't buy her likability, her humanity, her vulnerability,
and let's face it, for the lengths your character goes to and the risks you take, she has to be. I said it crudely. She has to be the one that you would give up everything you've worked for your whole life, everything just to be with, and that's the film noir hero. You can't say no to this opportunity.
Gary's so binary.
You get yourself in trouble. Like, she has to be that. So that weeds out almost everybody on the planet.
Yeah, you have to have some special magic, and Audrey really does have that magic. Like, you know, and also she does some pretty crazy things in this movie that you have to continue to root for. So I remember getting the call from Rick. He's like, look, I don't want to tip the scales, but I think we found her. You can meet her. You know, you obviously, you got to do your thing. But like,
I'll be curious how you guys hit it off. But
you could tell he had the best first date ever.
Yeah.
And I had the best first date ever. Audrey is that special. Like,
yeah, I knew we were off to the races when you were meeting her. Let's say like 4 p.m. my time. I expected to get a call from Glenn around 5:30. I didn't hear from him. It was like 9 p.m. I'm like, that must have not gone. I don't know. And like, hey, and you're like, yeah, we were together 4 or 5 hours. We just kept ordering drinks, and that's great. I'm like, okay, we'll be fine.
We'll be fine.
Yeah, I read there was tequila involved.
Yeah.
So it's mezcal. She's got a fine palate. You know, we were both on dry January at the time, and really dumped that like 10 minutes into our hang.
Right.
You know?
Well, okay, tell me about Gary's transformations, because part of the fun of this movie, how many different ones did you actually end up doing as he's pretending to be all these different hitmen? And did you have a favorite?
We also had to trim them down a
bit,
we
cut a few on paper, but everyone we filmed we used.
We used everyone we filmed.
We didn't have the time or budget to mess around there, but I think that's one of the most fun, weird elements of this movie. And Glenn really just went off the deep end here with the accents, and he was reading books on like how characters, and this is not just for those characters, but the Ron Gary kind of blur, how they walk differently and talk differently, hold themselves, so it was a real tightrope walk Glenn was doing with all these people. And believability, but still it could be silly because the whole thing's kind of ridiculous. And yet, I don't know. Do we have a favorite?
Well, I mean, it's like, but also like
I love them all in their own way,
We have this funny picture in the hair and makeup trailer where you have like sort of all the different faces on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had these fun reveals every time.
It should be an album cover or some kind. I don't know what.
I like that.
Oh, you're different.
That's a great idea, actually, releasing the music in this movie. Yeah. But yeah, that was like kind of an interesting part to play all these different roles because it's not the nutty professor. You're not playing, different people. You're playing different people on top of a specific person. So you have to build those layers in a very specific way and kind of show cracks in the character. Like, people still want to see Gary under some of these things, like when you're playing Ron, it's not a perfect performance. You don't want to see a perfect performance. You want to see a guy, missing the gear shift, so to speak, every once in a while,
What was it like walking that tightrope? Because obviously you're writing it, and as you're writing it, you're like, okay, this is going to be such a great thing. And then you get to set, and you're like, well, I do actually also have to do that. And yeah.
Well, that's what rehearsals are for.
Yeah.
I think the writers in us kind of put that away and just got to make the film, which includes rewriting and keep working. But, at some point you're acting in the movie, I'm directing, but we're same creative team, same creative the whole way.
But I also think like there was a great like BS checker between the two of us, like where I could kind of go for things and I'm like, hey, if this is too much or too weird, there was such trust here through and through that I felt that even on set, we'd rehearse stuff, but sometimes things existed differently when you kind of expose it to air.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to talk about the rom-com genre. for a minute, because we do also have to kind of salute the box office success of Anyone But You.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, you've now hit 83 million. We're closing in on that 100.
A bazillion.
Exactly, yes. It'll be a bazillion by tomorrow.
Bazillion, yeah.
But it really feels as if, and this film is, of course, part of that, you're very much reviving the rom-com genre.
Rom-com is back. Thanks to Glen Powell.
Well, and the reason why I asked that is because your good friend Kate Hudson very much mentioned that it's very hard to get men to make rom-coms right now. Why has it been a genre that has interested you so much? And just seeing the value in it, what do you hope Hollywood recognizes about these types of movies?
I mean, at least for me, look, I've always been a fan of movies in general, and I always find it to be silly when certain actors diminish certain genres, because you go, at its best execution, it gives an audience such joy and it's so fun. And as an actor, you do get to play a lot of gears. And so to kind of scoff at just a genre and look down on it, I always found it kind of silly. But for me, I mean, Anyone But You was such a treat to see audiences dance out of the theater and feel so happy after watching a movie, and to see box office not, stick but grow has been such a cool lesson, that sometimes the genres that are forgotten are the ones that audiences are craving the most.
Absolutely. I mean, what is your hope similarly then for Hitman? Because this is, as you mentioned, a very cross-genre film. There's a lot of different things at play here.
No murder in Anyone But You. But
yeah, we were like, at some points, we're kind of a dark rom-com, we were in that territory. Some weeks we were in, Body Heat, 9.5 weeks. Some weeks we were in Dead, when you're teaching, we're in Dead Poet Society or something. We were different movies were coming and going. But yeah, I would accept dark rom-com.
Yeah, well, it's like
fun.
Gary's going through an identity crisis, and we have sort of a wonderful identity crisis in terms of genre and tone in this movie that I find to be kind of the joy of it. It never sticks to the tropes of one specific thing.
But I wish that people would take more chances. Like, the history of movies are these really big conceptual comedies. At some point, they started calling them rom-coms, but they were just they were just movies. Bringing Up Baby, a rom-com? Yeah, but it's, it's all these other things. So I never quite got the distinction, but.
Well, like, you could look at Silver Linings Playbook as
a lot of things,
rom-com.
Yeah,
there's great execution.
A great comedy is a lot of things at once. So.
I love that y'all mentioned Dead Poet Society, because I was also getting a hint of Indiana Jones too. I was almost waiting for
our Paleolithic,
when we realized
Neolithic, Paleolithic period. Yeah, we kind of went heavy-handed. He kind of got an Indiana Jones flavor to his dress at that point.
You're ready to go.
I will not be playing Indiana Jones now. Harrison Ford would kill me. But I think we, there were some funny gear shifts. Like, when we shot this movie, we started off with all the stuff with Audrey.
Yeah, we had to do that first.
And so then when you kind of shifted gears to a lot of the Gary stuff,
the police station
and the police station,
and all that,
it took on. It felt like we were shooting a completely separate movie. So, and kind of forecasting how those things kind of merge and collide. It was really fun to kind of watch in the final. As we started assembling it, you really saw the identity crisis happening in real time.
Yeah, as much as I love this bromance here, you've been hanging out with some other guys as well, Glenn, lately. Jay's actually in the other room.
Jay Ellis?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
He'll be
I had
here in
dinner
a
with him
moment.
last night.
I was wondering, I was like, do you guys have a Top Gun text chain? Is there a thing?
We do.
What is that? What is it called?
It's an emoji. It's up gun.
Who was the first person to text on it when the news of 3 being in the works broke?
That's I think it was just a bunch of question marks. I think people looked at me like I knew what was going on. I had, I mean, there's gonna be some fun stuff being announced soon, but it was confidential to me. I was a part of a movie. I had no idea.
Well, I was like, I know you can't tell me anything because you don't know anything yet, but how excited are you to get back there?
There's insider information. There's insider knowledge.
It's above my pay grade,
yeah,
man.
Sorry, man.
If they told me, they'd have to kill me. On Top Gun, look, I talk to Kaczynski all the time. I talk to Cruise all the time and Jerry. I know there's stuff happening. It sounds very exciting, but I don't know when I'll be going back to Miramar or North Island or whatever. I'm sure there's a jet waiting for me somewhere in the future, but we'll see when.
Listen, we got to get the Blue Angels doc out first. There's a few things going on. Last thing, because we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Sundance. 2 of your films on that top 10 list. What was it like to have that reception and reaction and everyone remembering, just how memorable it was to see those debut here?
Yeah, that's super flattering. I mean, I've never not had a great Sundance experience, but I've been here so many times over the years. So if people are still remembering the films or the times they had, but Sundance offers that for so many. It felt I felt bad. They picked 10 films. I mean, there's been 100 Sundance, at least, just incredible screenings where the audience was just saw something new and amazing. It was, the audiences here are so great. They're looking for something new, and Sundance gives that opportunity, and it's done that. It feels weird to be whittled down to 10, because I know there's 100. I can just imagine so many filmmakers going, "What about that screening? You can't get any better than the screening we had for so many movies," and so that experience has been. But yeah, of course, flattered to be on there a couple times, but it's history. I guess I've been here a lot. There's a reason. I've had the most at bats probably.
Such a Rick way to phrase it.
I've probably had the most Sundance at bats.
Yeah.
It would make sense that.
Well, we're also, because we're talking about the various forms of storytelling, because of course we are here with Audible as well. Yeah. I'm curious for you all, what do you look at as the future of audio storytelling as a medium?
I mean, times sure have changed. I spend so much time now where I used to just go to movies. I spend so much time now with headphones on, listening to podcasts, listening to books on tape, we're getting so much of our narrative and fictional information through our ears. So I don't know. It's a product of our times. I don't know. It's exciting. I don't know what it means for movies. I don't know.
It's like almost like no.
Listen to
I love
storytelling.
All sorts of
It reminds me. It's kind of old school radio too. It's something very fundamental, basic about it. Goes back to the 30s or 40s. That have series, and why not? It's like the new old school radio. So
I just did it an Audible narrative podcast, and I got to kind of like assemble a lot of friends, because like when you talk about like scheduling a movie, you have to there's so much prep involved and all this stuff,
and then people are dropping everything to work.
Yeah, and there's like a bit of vulnerability in it that it's a little more public, and then sometimes when I did this podcast, I could pull a bunch of my friends. We got to play around in a booth, create something really special, which kind of feels like
it's not so high stakes.
No, and it feels like you're just getting to do some fun in a booth with folks, and then it's actually really entertaining because you're engaging. Also, on a performance level, people are listening to you. It's a little more vulnerable. I actually didn't expect it to be as. People are hypersensitive to stuff. For performances, I thought you would have to sell it more. You actually have to sell it less because people are kind of engaging. They're listening to performance in a different way. It's really fun.
People, we want stories. We want to share information. We want to share stories and characters and what we're all doing here. No, it's kind of incredible.
I'm just ready for the 5th collaboration between y'all.
We are too, man.
Yeah, we're figuring it out.
Ready.
We're figuring it out.
It'll happen.
Yeah, nothing specific yet.
But you'll make sure to tell me. It's okay. I'm ready for it whenever it's time.
Are you ready to tell him, Rick? Are you ready?
I got to get y'all out of here, but thank you so much. The film is so much fun. I can't wait until everybody gets a chance to see it, and the teaser to come out and all of the things.
Thanks for checking it out. It's really nice talking to you.
Yeah, this was fun.
Talking to you too.